Hello, my name is Anton Freitz. I'm a senior program manager on Power BI team leading data loss prevention capabilities in Power BI. And with me today, my colleague Dani Kadishevich. We are going to tell you about the game-changing data protection capabilities we built into Power BI in the last year, leveraging Microsoft Information Protection. Our agenda today will focus on MIP sensitivity labels in Power BI service, which was GA'd earlier this year. We will overview the capabilities and how you can enable it. We'll cover new features released in the last few months and share with you some of the more exciting coming next capabilities. In the second part of our session, Danny will take you through a tour of Microsoft Cloud App Security capabilities for Power BI. You will learn how you can leverage Microsoft Cloud App Security to better monitor and protect sensitive data in Power BI. Hello, I'm Anton Freitz. I'm a senior program manager on Power BI team, leading data loss prevention capabilities in Power BI. And with me today, my colleague Dani Kadishevich. We are going to tell you about the game-changing data protection capabilities we built into Power BI in the last year, leveraging Microsoft Information Protection. So in our agenda today, we're going to cover Microsoft Information Protection sensitivity labels in Power BI. We will overview existing capabilities, which are sensitivity labels GA in Power BI service, and cover new features released in the last few months. And also, we'll give you a sneak peek about the stuff coming next. In the second part of our session, we will have sort of like a deep dive for about what capabilities you gain by using Microsoft Cloud App Security to protect and monitor Power BI. So Power BI enables everybody in an organization to make every decision based on data. In this modern age of digital transformation, working from home, trust is more important than ever before. Digital transformation introduces great advantages and business opportunities for modern enterprises. But what we hear from our customers, it's also introducing some information protection challenges. Administrators need the controls and tools to monitor access to sensitive data. Data owners need to make data available without compromising on information protection. Administrators need to take actions to reduce the risk of sensitive data leakage. Compliance officers need to enforce organizations' data loss prevention and compliance policies. So all these challenges aren't unique for Power BI. They exist for every cloud service that is used by enterprises. So in Power BI, we decided to tackle these challenges by collaborating with Microsoft's world-leading security products. Microsoft, over the last 2 decades, had to build a real powerhouse in the area of security. We have over 3,500 engineers, architects, software developers, and researchers working the security space. Microsoft run devices that power the world. We have so many logins, so many emails we have to scan, billions of malicious attacks blocked on your machines. And with that IP that we have at Microsoft, we can bring it to Power BI to make it the most secure BI platform in the world. To address modern enterprise information protection challenges, instead of building our own silo solution, Power BI has joined forces with Microsoft Information Protection, which use Microsoft native solution to discover, classify, protect, and monitor sensitive data in Office 365, productivity apps, cloud services, on-premises, Windows, and now in Power BI. Microsoft Information Protection MIP sensitivity labels in Power BI. So MIP sensitivity labels defined by security admins in M365 or Office 365 compliance and security portals can be used now to classify and protect content in Power BI. These sensitivity labels can be applied in Power BI service on reports, dashboards, datasets, and data flows. And the beautiful thing that these are the same sensitivity labels that many organizations already use today to classify and protect Office files and emails. Another beautiful thing of this integration and the power of Microsoft Information Protection is that when data is exported from dataset or report, which is applied with label, to Excel file, PowerPoint file, or PDF file, the protection label policies that was defined by the security admin in M365 portal will be applied on the exported file. This way, the data remains protected when it's exported from Power BI. Another great value that we introduced recently is the ability to inherit label when creating new content in Power BI service. For example, if data owner applied a certain confidential sensitivity label on a dataset, with this new feature, when someone creates new report or dashboard based on this dataset in Power BI service, the new report and dashboard will be applied automatically with the same sensitivity label, hence the end-to-end classification maintained. Let's see MIP sensitivity labels in Power BI service. So this is my finance department workspace, and I just created a new finance report here. So after creating the report, what I can do now with sensitivity labels is apply the appropriate sensitivity label to reflect the classification of this report. So in report settings, I have sensitivity label section where I can choose the appropriate label to apply on this report. So for example, confidential internal only, which fits well to the finance report data sensitivity. Once I apply the label, I will see the label updated in the sensitivity column, and I can see also here the sensitivity label of the other content in this workspace. And also I can see here the tooltip that the security admin defined for this sensitivity label in M365 portal. After the label was applied, it will appear in the header of the report, and same will work with dashboards as well. So here I can see that when I open the report, the confidential internal only label that I just applied, and also I will see the sensitivity label in the details of this report. So after I interacted with the report in the service, many people usually export data and they like to export it to Excel. So when I export data to Excel, what will happen is that the same sensitivity label that was applied on the report is going to be applied on the Excel file that I just exported. So you can see this label has protection policy. So we're using RMS service to open this file. And as you can see here below, the confidential internal only label was applied on the exported file. And I can see the same tooltip also in Excel. And I can also see that this document now contains permission policy. So just to recap, as data owner, I apply the sensitivity label on Power BI report. I can view it in Power BI report. And when I export data from this report to Excel file, PowerPoint, or PDF, the sensitivity label and the protection will be applied on the file, and the file will be protected. Another cool capability that I want to show you is inheritance. So when as creator go to create new report in Power BI service, I can choose which dataset I can build on the report on top of it. So in this example, I will use customer profitability. It's certified, really nice. So I will choose this report, and I can already see that this report applied with highly confidential internal only label. So when I create the report, here I have a report. Let's maybe do some animations, just some stuff. Excellent. And now I will save the report. And here on the save the report, I get this message. The dataset sensitivity label is highly confidential internal only will be applied to the new report. So, new report. Let's save this new report. And you can see the sensitivity label that already appears on the report after I saved it. Let's go back to slides. So, sensitivity labels applied on Power BI reports and dashboards can be viewed when you consume these reports and dashboards in Power BI best in the world mobile applications. Sensitivity labels are also visible when you embed reports and visuals into your productivity applications. The label will be visible when you view the visual, and label and protection will be applied on export to Excel file. End-to-end inheritance is super important for our enterprise customers. It's very important for them that the classification and the protection will travel as the data moves around the systems. And in addition, to apply label and protection when user download data from Power BI to files, we now support the ability to apply Power BI sensitivity label on Excel file when user connects from Excel to Power BI dataset using Live Connect. This new capability available for M365 and E3 and above customers. Let's see a demo of how it works.
So here I opened a new Excel workbook. It has no sensitivity label, and now I would like to fetch data from Power BI. So I'm going to establish live connection through the new Power BI dataset connector. Here I can choose the customer profitability dataset, which was applied with highly confidential sensitivity label, and now the connection is being established. And the beautiful thing that happened now is that the highly confidential internal only sensitivity label that was applied on the customer profitability dataset is now applied on the workbook. And we can see, the user will see here the policy tip. The organization automatically applies the sensitivity. Internal only data is classified as highly confidential. And also we can see that this file is also now applied with protection settings. So only authorized users will be able to open this file later.
Oversight of sensitive data in cloud is very important to enterprise security and IT administrators. So with sensitivity labels capabilities, we introduce really great enhancements to security and Power BI administrators. Power BI administrators can view Power BI sensitivity label status report in Power BI admin portal. This is a screenshot that you see here. Sensitivity label information, including activities to apply sensitivity label and activities to view content that is applied with sensitivity label, is audited and can be accessible via Power BI audit logs. Power BI administrators can now continue investigation or inquiries they have into the Microsoft Cloud App Security portal, where they have really great options to view security alerts, explore Power BI audit logs, and so much more. Danny will cover this in a few minutes. So, if you ask yourself, so where do we start? So, for tenants that already have MIP sensitivity labels, Power BI admins can go to Power BI admin portal and just enable sensitivity labels in Power BI using allow user to apply sensitivity labels admin switch. Users that do not, tenants that do not have sensitivity labels defined should approach their organization, Microsoft 365 or Office 365 security and compliance owners, and ask them to add sensitivity labels to their tenant. Once they're available and published, they can be used in Power BI. So, after covering existing capabilities with sensitivity labels in Power BI, I would like to spend a few minutes sharing with you what is coming next. So, first of all, MIP labels in desktop. MIP sensitivity labels in Power BI desktop is a big ask for many customers, as most of authoring experiences start from desktop. So we want to enable the creators that create the content in desktop to apply sensitivity labels in desktop itself, and then once they publish the PBIX file into Power BI service, the sensitivity label will travel with this publish and will be applied on the dataset and report in Power BI service. And another amazing capability that is coming with this is that we are adding support of file protection policies to support PBX files. So if a sensitivity label till now could encrypt and protect only Excel, PowerPoint, or PDF files, with this MIP labels in desktop public preview, it will also encrypt the PBX file. This public preview is expected towards the end of the year. I will switch now to Danny to show you a sneak peek of what is coming. Danny.
Today we introduce the addition of data protection to Power BI Desktop to allow setting sensitivity labels on PBIX files. Sensitivity label can be easily applied from the ribbon bar, same as it is being done in Office client applications. Once label was selected, the status bar at the bottom of the window will show the file is now set with a classification or protection label. The real powerful thing is that once PBIX is published to Power BI service, the new dataset and report created are automatically applied with the same label. The beauty of this capability is that by setting sensitivity label in Power BI Desktop, our customers can be confident that their data is protected even when leaving Power BI service with an export. In this case in Excel, but similarly if exported to PowerPoint or PDF. This capability is coming soon.
Thank you, Danny. Another really top customer ask, we hear it from almost every customer that we talk with, is the ability to have mandatory label policy in Power BI. Mandatory label policy stands for is user that is has this mandatory label policy assigned to them are required to apply sensitivity label when they create new content or edit content in Power BI without a label. This is something that we're really excited about, and it's coming in the next few months. So really hang there. It's soon to come. Another policy that is also strongest our security and enforcement story is that we will start enforcing that only people who are authorized by the security admin are going to be the people who are allowed to change sensitivity labels in Power BI. This is also something that will light up by before the end of the year, and we will communicate about when it's coming. And once again, end-to-end classification is super important for our customers. So far we discussed about classification within Power BI service. We are going to have Power BI desktop, so you can start the classification from PBIX files and then publish it to Power BI. We have classification when you export data from Power BI to files. We have classification, we process classification when you connect to Power BI dataset from Excel files, and now we want to expand this capability to start inherit sensitivity labels from source. So we are really excited about this capability that is lighting up later this year. The ability to inherit MIP sensitivity labels that is applied on Azure SQL DW or Azure SQL DB columns. Power BI will be able to fetch the sensitivity label and automatically apply it on the dataset in order to maintain end-to-end classification. So I'll give you an example. If the database owner applied a confidential label on one of the SQL columns that is being used to get data to Power BI, the dataset that pulls data from this SQL column will identify that it's classified as confidential label and will be automatically applied with this sensitivity label. And not only this inheritance will trickle down through the lineage to reports and dashboards that are connected to this dataset. So this is really, really exciting capabilities that we are working on now. And let me show you a quick sneak peek. So here I am in data discovery and classification in Azure Security Center, and I apply highly confidential sensitivity labels on SQL columns. When I'm back in Power BI, I see there are no sensitivity labels on dataset. Now I refresh the dataset, and it pulls data from this SQL, and we pull also label information as well. After refresh is done, we can see that sensitivity label applied on dataset and all the downstream lineage, including reports and dashboard, automatically. So the SQL label applied in SQL was inherited by Power BI dataset and all downstream lineage. Reports now have this label available, and when we move to connect to this dataset from Excel, like we saw previously, we will see that the sensitivity label coming from SQL applied on dataset is now applied on Excel file when you consume this data from Power BI. So here we have a really great end-to-end story. So to recap, coming soon, later this year, what we saw in this demo, MIP sensitivity labels apply on SQL column in Azure SQL DW. Upon refresh of the data was applied on Power BI dataset and all downstream lineage connected to it, reports and dashboards. And when connecting to this data from Excel using Live Connect, the dataset sensitivity labels that was inherited from SQL was applied to Excel file. Hence, we have this end-to-end persistent classification. Sensitivity label license. So in order to use sensitivity labels in Power BI, in addition to Power BI license, user must have Azure Information Protection P1 or P2 license, which are available as part of Microsoft E3 or EMS E3 offerings. For more details, you can go to AKMS Power BI Data Protection Overview. Now I will switch to Danny to tell us about Microsoft Cloud App Security. Hey, Danny.
Hi everyone, and thanks for joining this session. As was seen in Anton's part, Power BI has identified a special opportunity to build a strong data protection partnership with Microsoft's security stack. After we've seen Microsoft Information Protection in action, let us discuss another security integration that was built in the last couple of years together with Microsoft Cloud App Security. First, let's start with some introduction into what Microsoft Cloud App Security is. As part of the CASB market, Cloud Access Security Broker, Cloud App Security takes the mission of providing 360 degrees protection for cloud applications, which is being done by detecting and eliminating threats and risks originated in the different attack surfaces which are out there. It can be data, identities, devices, etc. The power of this solution is that it supports any cloud app or resource that is being used by users across organizations, starting from public apps frequently licensed by the organization, private and custom line of business apps, and even storage accounts in cloud computing services. The approach that Cloud App Security is taking to address protection for all these cloud resources to allow enterprise-grade security solution for cloud apps is as follows. First, create full visibility into what is happening in every such cloud app or resource. Characterize identities, what is their behavior, learn more about the stored data, and how is it being accessed. Then, after having enough clarity on the routine, use Cloud App Security to create user-defined custom rules and policies to alert you when an anomaly is observed. Cloud App Security is doing the same for its customers by detecting anomalies using its own machine learning algorithms. Lastly, act upon every detected threat in real time by removing permissions, hardening data access, reset credentials, etc. After understanding what Cloud App Security has to offer, let's see how Power BI leverages all this goodness to enable customers to improve their security posture. Before taking a deep dive with the demo into the different capabilities that Power BI and Cloud App Security have built together, let's have a short recap. So first, Power BI and Cloud App Security provide a monitoring and protection of user activity on sensitive data in real time, which means that first of all, it provides visibility into this activity, and then also provides controls in order to protect from unexpected behavior. The next thing is the alert system. So Power BI is leveraging Cloud App Security in order to create detections and alerts when an anomaly behavior is detected. This can be done using three different mechanisms that Cloud App Security has to offer. The first one is tailor-made detections that were developed by Cloud App Security team and are tailor-made to Power BI content and the different Power BI activities. Then there are some general detections that are being used by Cloud App Security and were adjusted to meet also Power BI needs. So for example, we have impossible travel, which will fire an alert in case that a user was connected from two different regions in a short time. And lastly, there is also custom activity policies that can be defined by the user according to his knowledge and his familiarity with how Power BI is being used in his organization. And finally, there is another very important stuff, and it is the Power BI tenant admin permissions. So since Cloud App Security is a security product, and we know that most of Power BI admins are not security admins in the organization, there is also a dedicated Cloud App Security role for Power BI admins, which will allow them to manage and track activity in their Power BI instance. Now let's move on to our demo. So let's start from the Office 365 audit log. So as you can see, Power BI is pushing all of its activity data into Office 365 audit log search, which can help with investigating and understanding how Power BI is being used in the organization. So connecting to the first part of this session, I pre-selected some activities that are related to sensitivity labels in Power BI. This can show us how sensitivity labels are being used in our organization, in our Power BI instance. So once I filtered for all of these activities, as you can see here, I can see which user did what, which activity exactly, in which Power BI item, from where he was connecting, etc. In addition, we can see a lot of different properties that are related to this activity. So for example, we can also see when did this activity take place, but in addition, we can also get, for example, information about the specific sensitivity label that was used in which workspace, etc. The next thing is Cloud App Security is pulling this information from Office 365 audit log, which makes this even more powerful. So the main difference between searching for activity in Office 365 audit log versus activity log provided by Cloud App Security is that Cloud App Security also provides an advanced controls over these activities. So it not only provides visibility, but also provides protection options. So let's see here, how does it look like? So here we would like to look for Power BI related activities. So let's look for Power BI. This is great. The next thing that we'd like to see is specifically activities that are related to labeling, content labeling in Power BI. So again, we can search for label. Let's select here different activity types. Okay, this is enough. So we can see here, for example, a user that is applying sensitivity labels to reports. And this is great. And the last thing that we would like to do is also, because labeling content is probably something that is happening routinely, we might want to also identify unexpected behaviors, something that is anomalous to our environment. So let's add another property, which is the location property. So for example, say that our organization is operating only in the United States, so we would like to be informed of every activity that is related to labeling in Power BI that is taking place outside the United States. So now we can see these different activities, which is very nice. And next, what we would like to do is to take this search and to automate it so that going forward, every time there is a new activity that is matching this set of conditions, we will be able to get an alert on it and even to set some automated controls in order to protect our environment and to protect our data. So the way to do so is by creating a new policy from search using this set of conditions. So we can give our policy a name, say label activity outside the US. This is great. We can set the policy severity to be high, for example. Then we can also select whether we expect the policy to trigger an alert for a single activity only, or perhaps we want to see it happening for several times before we fire an alert. In addition, there are two other properties when creating this policy. The first one is setting the alert, to whom should it be sent, setting a daily limit, and in addition also using this alert in additional workflows that are happening in our organization, for example, connecting it to Microsoft Flow using Power Automate, and finally, setting governance actions. So this is a very powerful part. So using governance actions, what can be actually done is to protect our data in real time. So in fact, what will happen here is that once the set of conditions that we pre-selected is being met, so an automated action on the user can take place. So for example here, what we can do is to require the user to sign in again once this set of conditions is identified. So for example, even if a user, an attacker, was using brute force, for example, in order to access our Power BI instance. So once we will require him to re-sign in, so the next time he will not have the credentials, and it will help us to make sure that our content is safe. Once we selected all of these properties and defined our policy, we can then create and just give it to do its work. The next thing that we would like to do is to set real-time controls within Power BI. So we are not only protecting on access as was shown here, we also want to protect on the session itself and to make sure that only privileged users are capable of exfiltrating and exporting, downloading data from our Power BI instance. And here is how it is look like. So for example, here I now move to another user. This is Megan. Megan, she's an employee in our organization, but the only thing that Megan is allowed to do is to consume content within Power BI portal without being able to export the data outside the service. So, for example, Megan will access this finance report, and the entire session of Megan is now being monitored by Cloud App Security, and in a moment we will see how can this be done. So one of the indicators for this session being monitored by Cloud App Security is that the domain here is now a bit different, and you can see that this instance of Power BI is being accessed, but the traffic is being transmitted by Cloud App Security conditional access endpoint, which means that all of the traffic coming from Power BI is going through Cloud App Security in order to make sure that the real-time policies are being enforced. So for example, now Megan is viewing this data, but the next thing that she'd like to do is to export the raw data from here to her own local device, for example. But the problem is that this content is highly confidential. So as I said before, we don't want to let Megan exfiltrate this data outside of Power BI. So once she will try to export the data, click export, data will be exported, and in a minute we will see that Megan is not allowed to do this action. So Megan will get this message coming from Microsoft Cloud App Security. And even though a file was downloaded, this is a dummy file that tells Megan that she was blocked and she is not allowed to download this content. Now, going back to Cloud App Security, the same manner that we created the activity policy before, same can be done also to create real-time session policy in order to
block download of sensitivity files, as we just saw. So in our example, we created a policy specifically for a set of users, and in addition, we will set the file filter to look for content that is classified as highly confidential, so that once a user attempts to download this content, he will not be able to do so. And here also a customized message that is surfaced to the user can be set. That was the demo of how Cloud App Security can be used in order to protect Power BI to improve security posture of your Power BI instance. There are many more capabilities that are coming, so thank you very much and stay tuned.
Thank you, Danny, and thank you all for participating and listening to this session. So just to summarize what we heard and what is the value that we believe you will get by using Microsoft Information Protection capabilities in Power BI. First of all, you'll get consistent policies and labels across O365 and Power BI. Security administrators and Power BI administrators get better oversight over sensitive data and better controls over who can access it. Data owners can protect their data better by applying the appropriate sensitivity labels on Power BI content. It can help you meet privacy and regulatory requirements that your organization have for sensitive data in the cloud. And the last but not the least, we are leveraging MS world-leading cybersecurity products to build and provide you the most secure Power BI platform in the world. Here are some resources and information. So you can go to AKMS Power BI Data Protection Overview to get more details about sensitivity labels in Power BI. You can go to AKMS Data Protection Doc Cloud App Security to get more information about how to use Cloud App Security to monitor and protect Power BI. And we're always happy to hear your feedback and ideas using ideas.powerbi.com. Thank you very much.